Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with some more MBTI. Today we're going to be diving into the secondary functions. These are the T, T, I, F, E, F, I, and so I'm going to start with extroverted thinking, and let's just dig on in. Extroverted thinking, or TE, is what everyone else thinks. These are the people that gather the consensus. They gather all the thought. They are the ones that, what do you think about this? They are the ones, we need to listen to the experts. These are the people who are very much about what the data supports. They work really well as SITE. They're very good at keeping track of things and data management, whereas NITE is going to be very good at conceptualizing thoughts and figuring out where you need to go. They're very rigid. They're more controlling of the situation. TE and TI share that trait. Because they are data driven, they are more rigid in how they like to accomplish their goals. Many people who are misdiagnosed on the autism spectrum are actually just TE and TI users. They're going to deal with rationale as opposed to logic. They are going to be very concerned with what everyone considers to be right. They're not very good at independent thought. And it sounds kind of shitty to say that, but it's true. They're the ones that tend to think with a hive mind. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's an evolutionary reason why you were to go along with the crowd, is because normally the crowd is correct. And so these people are very good at getting what everyone thinks about it and deciding, okay, well, if everyone thinks that this is the thing, we're going with it. They find the possible outcomes from things from using that, because they gather everyone's thoughts. They see the possibilities of what could happen. They like being accepted, though. They tend to just go with the crowd. They like to just comply. Those guys are the experts. You need to listen to the experts. There is no doubting any experts. If you have a PhD, a master's degree, if you're even a bachelor's degree, like if there are two people side by side and they're both equally qualified and one of them has a degree, they are going to go with the degree every time. Even if the other person's more diligent, even if the person without the degree is the better choice for the position, they are going to choose the degree every single time. They need the acceptance that comes from having that piece of paper. They're very good at creating consensuses. They are the ones that are very good at keeping the harmony going, because they're paying attention to everyone's thoughts. They do not necessarily care about your feelings, though. They're going to keep the harmony going by laying down the law. Like they're very much, no, it has to be this way. Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory is an absolute T. He has to control the situation all the way through. He is the guy who's like, nope, you're in my spot. That is my spot. We don't get the Chinese plate from this place. We get it from this place, because everyone agrees that this is the best choice. Everyone agrees that black hole science is actually real, so it doesn't matter that the actual physical science doesn't really hold up to that. Everyone thinks that. They think in what could be. They're complementary to the NEs. They're thinking about what is going to happen, not necessarily in the same way that an NE does, but kind of focused the same. They're both very forward thinking. They're very much, what can we get out of what we already know? And they're the ones that say everyone says. Like, these are the people who are saying follow the science when the science doesn't even really follow that. These are the people who are saying go get a degree, even though you really can't use a degree these days. There are people out there flipping burgers with a degree in all kinds of things that are, generally speaking, a liberal arts type of situation, and they can't use it. But they were told they need to get it. They have to get it. If you don't get it, you're not going to be able to do it. And they're like, okay, everyone says I need this. Let me go take out $70,000 worth of debt in gender studies. That's these people. let's get to the slots. All right. So in the divine slot, you are going to be validating other people's thoughts. They're going to take them to you, and you're going to discern whether or not it's valid. Now, you're either going to do that with an S or an N, right? And how that affects you is going to change it. The T's and the F's are complementary to the other ones, because if you're, say, SI, right? SITE, so you're going to, or TESI, so this is your TE slot, and this is going to be your SI slot. Your TE is how you are going to do your SI. It's, you receive the information as an SI user. As a TE user, that is how you filter the information to give it back. You're going to filter all of the data coming in as an SI user, all of the data coming in that has already been done, and you're going to take what everyone thinks about that data and formulate what you're going to respond to the tribe with. But because you have that data to support you, you're going to be very rigid. It has to be this thing, regardless of whether or not it actually is that thing. The data supports it, you're going to go with it, period. And for the crown, you're going to do that, but you're going to do that with your own thoughts. Like, that's flipping it around. The SI is going to gather all of the stuff, but you're going to go through and do it for you as opposed to doing it to give to the tribe. But you're going to validate your own thoughts by other people. You're not really going to be a TE versus TI situation in the crown. It's going to be, okay, I think that this is right, so I'm going to go with it, right? Whereas a TE is, everyone thinks that I am right, so I'm going to go with it. The third eye is going to get defensive over the consensus. These are the people that were calling the authorities in the situation that passed a couple, like a year or so ago, maybe two, and they're the ones that were calling the authorities because people were showing up without the proper clothing. That's these people. They're defensive over what everyone thinks. Everyone thinks that you were going to kill grandma, and therefore you need to comply. That's these people. They're very defensive over it. The throat, they're going to think that they've got the consensus. These are the people who are on the far right, or the far right, and the far left. These are the people who are thinking everyone thinks the way I do. You see this on the right, and because I hammer the left so much, that's on the right. You see this in the evangelical Christian community. There are like 437 different denominations of Christianity, and every single one of them thinks that they have the right way, despite the fact that there are doctrinal differences between somebody else who considers themselves a Christian. The extremes of those are the people who are like, you're going to hell because you're not wearing a skirt. You're going to hell because you're wearing makeup. And everyone knows that you're not supposed to wear makeup if you're a woman, because that makes you a harlot. That is this situation. These are the people who they think everyone's going to think the same way that they do. And they're going to use the everyone thinks in the wrong way, like the absolutely wrong way. The heart, you're really going to want to. This is what you really want. You want agreement. You want people to take your TI, because if you're a TE here, that means you're going to be a TI up here. You're going to want everyone to know that you are thinking correctly. And so you're going to work for that. You, as a TI user, are probably right. So it is a valid thing to want that. The solar plexus is going to really hate that you don't agree with them. Or that they don't get agreement. This is the TI crown, so they're thinking for themselves, and then they're trying to give it to the tribe, but the tribe just doesn't agree, and so they hate that. There are various reasons for why the tribe might not agree, but if they don't agree with the TE solar plexus or critic, they're going to get very critical of themselves for not getting it. They're not even really going to get mad at everybody else for not believing them or not going with them. They're going to get mad at themselves for not explaining it right, or they're going to get mad at themselves that they didn't get the agreement that they were expecting to. The sacral is going to chase that acceptance. We're going to take my third eye defensive TI and we're going to go and try and give it to the tribe, and then it doesn't work. So you're just constantly chasing the new concept. These are the people who are like, didn't you get the 5th round of the thing? Because, we all need that. They're just constantly chasing that acceptance from the tribe. They really want their thoughts to be heard and to be accepted, and they don't get it, so they're chasing it because they're defensive about it. They're not doing it the right way. And then base, they're going to obsess over that. They're going to accept over the fact that nobody listens to what they say. They're going to obsess over the fact that everyone else thinks that they're not smart, or they're not logical, or they're not doing whatever. But the thing is that you're really not receiving as much of that as you think you are. And the tribe is right to reject it most of the time. Assimilating this, how do we go about that? So when you're doing your meditative practices, you need to go through, take the time and identify. We talk about that a lot, right? You need to identify where you are missing the acceptance. You need to figure out why you're missing the acceptance. It's not just because people don't like you, unless you're just really an ass. It's normally because you're coming with an illogical argument, because TI is all about logic, where TE is about rationale. So your logic in your throat is miscommunicated and is causing you problems in your TE base, the rationale of others. And if you can take the time to identify where you are miscommunicating to others what your rationale actually is, and to make sure that your logic actually is, and what your logic needs to really be based in fact. You need to take the extra time. That's because if you're a TI throat, that means you're going to be an FE up in here, and that's going to be a problem. You're going to have a hard time with that. So take the time. Figure out what exactly it is that you're obsessing over. Why are you obsessing over whether or not somebody thinks that you're a good person? It doesn't matter in the long run. As long as you are doing what you know that you need to be doing, it doesn't matter what other people think. But for the sacral, you're going to do almost the same thing. You need to stop and identify and figure out why your TE is being rejected, why your TI is being rejected. It's probably because you're not actually taking the time to make sure that you have the facts to support your logic. Most of the correction in the bottom part of the stack here is going to be taking the time to make sure that you're correct in your logic, because the opposite of rationale is the logic. The solar plexus, you're going to have to stop and figure out why, why you're not getting the confirmation for your logic. You're very critical of yourself behind this, so you need to take it easy on yourself. You need to understand that, yes, the tribe is pushing back on this, but you need to say, okay, am I being logically consistent with this? Am I taking in the facts? Am I taking in the possibilities? Am I taking in whatever the other part of this is going to be? Because what you're taking in and how you give it back is what this is all about. For the heart, this is what you really want to do with your life, right? You really want to help formulate agreements. So like hostage negotiations even, but like diplomats should be TE. They should, or TE heart, TI divine, because that means that you're thinking for yourself in a logically consistent manner. And your best intention is to do that for everyone else too, to make sure that you have all of the understanding of other people's thoughts, and can give it back to the tribe in a logical manner. So take the time to identify the things, but then see if you can slide yourself into a position where you are doing that, where you are helping to build the agreement or the consensus on a situation, because that is what you really want to do. The throat, you're going to need to learn how to communicate your logic or your rationale better, right? You don't need to blindly follow what other people are saying, and that's going to be true for most of the TE stack in the top, because you're going to tend to go and be like, okay, well, everyone thinks this, and especially if you get in a TEFE loop where it gets bad, where you're going entirely off of what other people are thinking and feeling, and you really can't control your own thoughts or feelings. You're going to need to take the time to figure out why you're not actually getting the consensus, and you need to be able to use your logic to explain the rationale, because rationale is what everyone else has decided is the thing, right? And logic is you deciding this is either true or false. So you need to understand why the tribe is saying that this is the thing, and to be able to speak it in a way that you understand it and that other people can understand it too. For the third eye, you're going to have to get less defensive over what other people think. Other people are entitled to their own opinions, whether or not you think that they fit within the rationale. Other people are allowed to be sovereign humans in the same way that you are. They can make their decisions even if they're wrong. And you need to stop being defensive over someone else not making the same decisions that you think everybody wants them to. This is a free speech argument here. Even if somebody says something offensive to everyone and everyone thinks it's offensive, if that one person doesn't think it's offensive, it's okay for them to say it. You don't have a right to get defensive over that and put your hands on them. You don't get the right to bully them into submission. They are entitled to their opinion, and you especially are going to have to accept that. It is going to be hard because you, especially as a TE third eye person, are going to be very defensive over what everyone else thinks. And then we get into the crown and the divine. Again, when you get into the crown and the divine, you have already worked your way up through these six. And so it is really easy to do the other part, because what you're doing here is to make sure that you're validating your thoughts by the correct people. You have a tendency to not do that. You have a tendency to just take the majority opinion, whether or not somebody's qualified. You can have a Dr. Anthony that really is unqualified for anything that he has ever done, ever in his entire life. But because he is placed in that position by people that you consider to be authorities, you're going to accept that. Regardless, like, he's got all the paperwork. All the paperwork's in order. But he doesn't understand basic germ theory. But he's in charge of that. That's a problem. This is where you need to work on you. You need to make sure that you are actually validating your thoughts or your rationale by other people who are the correct people. Make sure that the people you are using actually hold and functionally use the credentials that you value so much. For the divine, you're going to be gathering these rationales effortlessly. You're going to be able to just look at somebody and be like, oh, he's thinking this, and be right about it most of the time. Like, most of the time, you're going to be correct in your assumption of the rationale. But when you are not, it is going to be a massive mistake. It is going to be, oh boy, I really missed that mark. I thought she was going to win in 2016. I missed that mark by a long shot, right? And so that is what this is. You need to take the time to make sure that your rationale is right. And if you're doing all the rest of this, which if you're a TE divine, by the time you get to working on your TE, you should have already balanced all of these, then you are making sure that you have the correct data. You making sure that you have the correct possibilities. You are making sure that you've considered all the data and all the possibilities. And then you can consider what everyone else is thinking. You need to slow down in your divine. You do it so well, like it really is a calling. It really is a blessing to be able to do whatever your divine thing is. But unless you are taking the time to actually consider all 7 of the other things, because you use all 8 of them all the time in varying degrees. And if you don't take the time to slow down your divine, it's going to catch you the same way that the base will. You will get caught in the same manner by the same things. With a TE person, you're going to get tripped up into trying to be someone that you're really not because other people think that you need to be that. You're going to get tripped up into complying with things that you don't even agree with because other people are telling you it's the right thing to do. And you don't need to do that. You are a full, complete, whole, sovereign being all on your own. And the best way to express that is by balancing all of these traits. So there we go. We got another one down. I hope that I brought just a little bit of understanding and not too much confusion to a rather complicated subject. I hope that through the course of these materials that I can help you to help yourself. I can't help you. I can't fix you. Nobody else in the entire world can fix you. And you, TE user, you need to hear this more than most. Nobody else can fix you. The only person that can fix you is you. And the only way to do that is by balancing yourself. To get away from the extremes of either side. Like, I'm not trying to take a side in the dichotomy. I really just want to help people to fix themselves. And the best way to do that is to identify where your weaknesses lie. That is the point of doing this. Like, I'm explaining my rationale here for my TE users, but you need to identify specifically for you what your weakness is, because a TE base is going to have significantly different weaknesses than an SI base, just because your focus is different. The scope of your life is different. Some people love sports. They can tell you all the stats for every team in their area. They can tell you the best players throughout history, right? And then some people just don't care. Some people don't care at all about that, but they can tell you about every battle that was fought in your area and who was in charge of it and what infantries were there. Different people have different focuses of their life. Now, both of those examples are an SI user. Both of those examples are someone who uses SI, but they use it in a different manner. It goes for all of these functions, and no matter, even if it's in the same spot, in the same stack, 2 different people are going to do it 2 different ways. It is up to you to figure out what affects you. Alright, so, to the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, this has been Pitt. Peace.